blood test came back that my kidneys were failing.
It was entirely possible he could die.
I thought a few times to hang myself. Every day I'd pray, I'd say, hey, God, you gotta help me out. I would go home from dialysis and I wouldn't lay down. I would be excited to see Sammy. He helped me. He kept me alive. He saved my life. I waited 5 years, 9 months. 5 years, 9 months. I don't think I would have made it that long without my dog. My name is Patrick Major. I grew up in Hayward, California. Growing up, our lives revolved around the Catholic Church. And sports was huge in my family. I have an older brother, his name's Chris, and I have a younger brother, his name is Daryl. Oh, Chris, my oldest brother, was my idol.
My name is Christopher Major. Patrick is my brother. I had the opportunity of being an athlete and had a lot of external self-esteem given to me from the community. Growing up for Pat, it was a lot harder to feel comfortable given some of the limitations that he had.
I remember in 5th grade, I was the fastest kid in the class. And then 6th grade, I twisted my ankle and I went to the doctor, found out it was a bad sprain. Never healed, and as time went on, it progressed, and I was diagnosed with Charcot-Marie tooth disease, which is CMT. I inherited CMT from my mother, but my brothers don't have it. CMT is a disease that deteriorates your muscles. It affects your joints, your hands, your knees, your elbows, your ankles. And from that point on, everything was kind of downhill for me.
My name is Eric Merritt. Patrick is my best friend. He always wanted to appear normal, but his legs and his ankles were quite weak and they would break if he did too much on them.
I would go to the park with my brothers and all the neighborhood kids, and I can remember coming home from the park because I couldn't compete with the other boys. One time, I took my ball home frustrated, and my mom tells me, she said, I sat on the couch, and I remembered I cried to her, told her that I'm not good anymore. She just told me that you're not gonna be good, but you have to find other things you could do. From that point on, I was searching for my own place in life and what I was gonna do. Throughout the years, I was never gonna let my CMT hold me back. I started getting into mountain biking. I worked out. I was just amazingly strong. I thought I was the man. One day I woke up and I had flu-like symptoms and I was just really tired. And so I went in and I saw the doctor. He says, it doesn't sound like much, other than you might have a slight cold, but let me do one more test. Let me do a blood test. And did the blood test and came back that my kidneys were failing. I said, what are you talking about? I didn't know what kidney failure was. I said, give me some medicine. And he goes, no, medicine's not going to fix this.
I'm Dr. Wesley Lisker, and I'm Patrick's kidney specialist. In Patrick's case, we had to counsel him about the likelihood that he would develop worsening of his kidney failure over time. It was entirely possible he could die. Kidney disease is generally something which we can't cure, but we can keep people going with the help of the dialysis procedure. You're put on a machine that removes a certain amount of water, waste, and minerals from the bloodstream over the course of 3 to 4 hours. It's a life-saving therapy that people have to continue until they get a transplant or they pass on.
And it's painful, just agonizing pain. I said, how am I gonna come in here 3 days a week and get shot with a needle 156 times a year? I was angry, very angry. I felt like I was handed a blank deck of cards. I felt cheated. Why are you doing this to me, God? Why are you making me suffer? I don't deserve this. First you gave me CMT. Now I have no kidneys. I may not live. God, what am I gonna do? I was in total shock. I didn't know what kidney failure was. It was just overwhelming for me. And I just got depressed.
I alluded to Pat, hey man, look, your life's not over. Let's just have some fun and see how far it goes.
Eric invited me to a holiday Christmas party cruise in the Bay.
At the time, Kimberly and I were in a relationship, and Kimberly had asked me, do you think I could find a friend for her friend, who was Sabrina?
My name is Kimberly Lynn Havate, and I'm Sabrina's best friend. I decided to take her out to my company Christmas party. It was on a boat, free food, free drink. Who wouldn't want to go, right?
I said, Patrick, come on. Patrick was really reluctant.
I didn't have the energy to go out to clubs. I didn't have the energy to do anything but go to dialysis and live.
I said, you already committed. I put you on the list.
My name is Sabrina Seiden, and I'm from Pleasanton, California. And we got onto the boat. I was totally surprised because I wasn't expecting anybody to come along.
We talked and we looked at the view of San Francisco. It was an absolutely beautiful day in December. I'll never forget it.
It was just so romantic.
I said, this is the one.
She made the world stand still. She made the world stand still.
I don't know that I ever felt that I would find someone who I would have that great of a connection with.
I dated Sabrina for like a year, and I told her, why don't you come live with me? And she came to live with me. It was great.
It was an exciting time, but it was stressful to be around somebody who was sick. As we got closer and closer, our connection was so strong, so I loved him very deeply, and I wanted him to get better. But I really had never met anybody who had kidney failure, and I don't think that I understood the seriousness of it. I think that's when it really sunk in about how much I cared about him and the possibility that I could lose him.
In 2003, I think was my worst time.
I think the fear of dying, I think the fear that I might not be back on next Tuesday was a real part of his life.
Mentally, my mind wasn't there anymore. I have these thoughts, these suicidal thoughts. I thought a few times just trying to hang myself. And then if I hang myself, then I gotta kick the chair from under me. And do I have that kind of heart to kick a chair from under me and take my life?
I had read somewhere in an article that they had seen signs that dogs could help people with depression.
Well, when she first brought it up, I thought it was the craziest idea in the world. I said, how in the heck is a dog gonna make me feel better? I don't have time to be up and hang out with the dog, and I don't want him in my house. And she said, well, let's just try, let's just look.
We ended up finding the listing for some dachshund puppies.
The first thing I thought was, I think dachshunds are ugly. I don't want a dachshund, and who owns a dachshund? Well, when she first brought it up, I thought it was the craziest idea in the world. And my comment was, I ain't got time for an animal.
I can just imagine that from Patrick's perspective, it seemed like sort of a silly dog to be getting. I just remember feeling so excited. We met the lady who had the listing for the dachshund puppies, and she brought the cage out and let all the dogs out, and they were just so cute.
And Sabrina's like, oh, I like this one here. I really want this one.
He had even brown spots above his eyes, and I like the way that his face looks symmetrical that way.
And Sabrina says, babe, I want the dog. And I says, all right. All the way home, I was like, oh, God, what did I do? And I kept telling Sabrina, I don't want him sleeping with me. I don't want him next to me. He didn't have a name for maybe a week. And I'm watching TV. It's a Sunday morning, and SammyDavis gets on TV, SammyDavis Jr. And she goes, SammyDavis was Jewish. And I said, well, there it is there. I said, you're Jewish, I'm black. We'll name the dog SammyDavis. When I first brought Sammy home, the thing that annoyed me was he would look at me and piss on my carpet right in front of me. I tell Sabrina, man, I can't have a dog here that's gonna piss all over my house. And then I would go to dialysis, and I would come home at 11, and he'd be waiting at the door. His tail would be wagging like crazy. And I was just like, well, you know, come on, just lay down a little bit, because I was tired and I needed to sleep. And he'd get up, and he'd jump on my bed and jump off. Jump on, jump off. And he'd do this all day long. I'd be like, stop, stop, get off me, stop. My friends would come over, and they wouldn't believe it. They would say, man, what's wrong with your dog? And I'd be like, he won't let me sleep. He won't let me lay down.
When I went by, I saw this little rat-looking mutt, I called it. I said, look at it, it's ugly. It's even got spots on it.
After a few weeks, I told Sabrina, I really don't want the dog. During that time, I was sick and depressed. Oh, man, it was hard. I was just getting tired. I was getting tired of dialysis.
I can remember when Pat came back from dialysis and he'd be flat out. Emotionally, psychologically, spiritually, he would not move out of that bed. And there was Sammy.
There was days I was down and he would bring toys to me. And I kind of started thinking, maybe I ought to play with them and do some things with them. And I'd hold my hand off the side of the bed and I'd say, put it in my hand. And he'd put it in my hand and I'd throw it off the bed. And then he'd bring it back.
I saw Patrick starting to be more engaged with him and playing with him. And then after that is when he would start to call me when I was at work because he was starting to see that Sammy could really do a lot of things.
I went from playing with a rope in the house to catching a ball to throwing a Frisbee at the park, and I started seeing how fast he was.
He started to train him and teach him tricks, and he was getting really excited about all that.
I would go home and I wouldn't lay down, and I would get up and I would be excited to see Sammy, and I'd take him out and I'd play with him. We grew this tight relationship. He would just sleep with me, sleep under my arm. And I just felt this really warm feeling inside. It was something different than whatever I've ever experienced.
And I started to notice that Patrick's downside wasn't there. You know, he just didn't seem as depressed.
I was sick, but every day, it wasn't a day that went by that he didn't try to keep me up. Just bark, 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 like, come on, Dad, get up. You know, just get up. One day I noticed he started to slow down a little bit and losing some weight. And I kind of was just like, what's going on with him?
We decided rather than taking any chances, we better call the vet and take him in and try and see what was going on with him.
So we go into this little office, and the doctor came in and she said, he's got parvo. I said, parvo, what's parvo? She says, well, it's a puppy disease. And he's a small dog. He's only 4 pounds. He's probably not gonna make it. And she said, we could try. She said, just leave him here. He helped me. He kept me alive. Just said, I need him to survive. I told Sabrina, I looked at her, and a small tear rolled down my eye, and I told her, I said, I just don't want to lose him.
It was so scary to have to pick up that phone every day and call them and say, okay, is he still alive? That was very, very hard.
Waiting on a phone call from the vet is kind of like waiting on a kidney. You don't know when you're gonna get the call. You don't know what news you're gonna get when that call comes. A couple days went by, got a phone call from the vet, and the vet tells me, Sammy's fine, come get him. Every day I'd pray, I'd tell God, I'd say, hey, God, you gotta help me out. I've asked for a lot of things in my life, but I need a kidney. This is gonna save my life. SammyDavis, told me, hey, guess what, Dad? You saved my life. I'm your guardian angel, I'm your spirit. I need you. I need to take care of you now. And he did. My hand to God, he kept me up. He kept me going. My cell phone rang at 9 a.m. I ignored it, and then it rang again at 10:30. And this time I grabbed the phone and I answered the phone. What? And the lady said, Mr. Major, this is UCSF. You know why I'm calling, right? And I said, I'm hoping you're calling because, you know, you have a kidney for me. And she goes, yeah, we do. Get here. I waited 5 years, 9 months. 5 years, 9 months for a kidney. And I don't think I would have made it that long without my dog. After my transplant, I watched him transform into the most amazing little dog that I've ever witnessed in my life. And I knew I had something special. I just said, there's no other dog like this. There was a 2009 qualifier for the Winter Nationals in 2010. I remember this feeling, the sun came over me. And I took a deep breath and I squeaked his little squeaky ball and I looked down the track and I said, Sammy, come. I said, just come to me. And Sammy ran to me so fast again and I held him up and we won.
SammyDavis will have the winner's photo shortly.
I love you.
I think Sammy is a hero in this whole ordeal. He pulled Patrick up to the next level, meaning don't sit around, don't be complacent.
Pat went out and got a dog that was not big and tough and strong. He got a dog that really went to his soul as a person, that soul that never really got to get out as a child.
He didn't judge that I couldn't run fast. He didn't judge how I walked or if I walked different than someone else. You should be proud of who you are. And I've learned that through non-judgmental, unconditional love with my dog. He's amazing.
Moved by the stories seen in this episode of Saved?